So here's an interesting story. During the final days of the last election, Project Veritas, the journalism group, looked into a story about the missing diary of Ashley Biden, the president's daughter. They didn't run anything on it. So just the other day, the FBI knocks down their door looking for this, purely a political investigation, obviously. Then today, the New York Times publishes a whole bunch of privileged, confidential, secret, private, legal documents from Project Veritas. Amazing how that works. HARMEET DILLON is a famed civil rights attorney, managing partner at the Dillon Law Group. She represents James O'Keefe in this story. She joins us tonight with the very latest on it. HARMEET, thanks a lot for coming on. This, I don't know what even to say about it. Is the connection, the obvious connection, real? I mean, what is this?
Well, our client James O'Keefe's home was raided on Saturday morning by the FBI. They had a battering ram, and they threw him out in the hallway and took, in handcuffs and took his phones. Now, a lot of privileged information was on his phones, including communications with, by my count, 4 dozen different lawyers over the years. And coincidentally, this publication came out this afternoon from the New York Times. Now, I can't say with a certainty how the New York Times got this information, but I can say that they got it in a way that is illegal and unethical. And so we have to ask that question. And so, what we have right now is a very disturbing situation of the U.S. Attorney's Office and or the FBI tipping off the New York Times to each of the raids on Project Veritas's current and former employees last week. We know that because minutes after these raids occurred, they got calls from the New York Times, which is the only journalism outlet that knew about it. And they published this hit piece today, which is really despicable. I don't think I've ever seen this low from the New York Times before, to publish people's private legal communications. And by the way, what does it prove, New York Times? All it proves is that Project Veritas is an honest and thoughtful journalistic organization that sought legal advice before making various publications. That's what Fox News does. That's what the New York Times does. And that's what every major journalism outlet does. So I don't know what gotcha they think they were doing there other than they got themselves, because they criticized Project Veritas for its tactics, and yet they sink so low. Tucker.
We know for a fact the Biden administration leaks confidential information about its critics to news outlets. They did it to me personally, so I know for a fact that they do it. Is there any way to catch them in the act of doing this, which I think would be a crime?
Well, the first thing that we have done in response to the seizure of our clients' telephones, that include not just the legal information that I just mentioned, but also confidential source information, including sources in the Biden administration and in corporate America, and including donor information, which is also protected by the First Amendment. So you have multiple First Amendment issues here. We went to the court and asked the court to order a special master to review this information and not let the Southern District of New York prosecutors and the FBI look at it without somebody separating out this information. The government would not agree to do that voluntarily, but we went to court, and today a federal judge did order the government to stop looking at these phones. So ultimately, we're going to get some answers as to what was reviewed and what they did with it. It may be a long time, but we may never know what they've done. The government still hasn't admitted on your situation, Tucker, that they did something illegal. I think they did, and you think they did. And there's a lot of this going on. The DOJ has specific regulations about this. There's also a federal statute called the Privacy Protection Act that protects journalists and their information from exactly this type of thuggish behavior that the DOJ has done in this case. And they have blown federal law. They've blown the Constitution. They've blown due process and civil rights. And now they're sleazily communicating at some level for sure with the New York Times. So this is a scandal of epic proportions, and every journalist who isn't worried and concerned about this should hang up their journalism card. Ditto all First Amendment lawyers as well.
Yeah, and here's the New York Times participating in the defense of the regime it's supposed to be covering. I mean, it's the deepest level of corruption. HARMEET DILLON, great to see you tonight. Thank you for this.
Thank you, Tucker.